Hey everyone, and welcome 7th graders. Get ready, because today we're going on an absolutely epic journey back in time. We're talking massive empires, mind-blowing inventions, brilliant scientists, and a world-changing story that literally still impacts our lives today. We're exploring the epic history of Islamic civilization. Now, I know it's a huge topic, but don't worry, we're going to break it all down so it makes perfect sense. But before we really jump in, let me ask you a quick question. Did you know the science behind your smartphone's camera? Yeah, the one you probably use every single day, was actually discovered over 1,000 years ago. Seriously, no joke. History isn't just about memorizing dusty old dates. It's about the ideas that actually built our modern world. All right, so here's the roadmap for our explainer today. 1. The Umayyad Empire begins. 2. Expanding to the subcontinent. 3. The mighty Abbasid dynasty. 4. The Golden Age inventions. And finally, 5. The rise of new dynasties. Let's dive right in. Part 1. The Umayyad Empire begins. Rise of the first great dynasty. Let's map out the centuries we're exploring today, just to get our bearings. We start way back in the 600s with the beginnings of the Umayyads, who officially took control of a massive empire around 661 AD. By 712 AD, they reach Sindh. Then, in 750 AD, a totally new family, the Abbasids, takes over. Fast forward to 1258 AD, and a massive Mongol attack basically changes everything. Finally, we wrap up around 1517 AD with the end of the Mamluk rule. That is nearly 1,000 years of history we're covering. It's honestly hard to believe, but at its peak, the massive Umayyad Empire stretched all the way from Spain in Western Europe, across North Africa, right through the Middle East, and all the way to the borders of India in the east. That's huge, and managing a giant piece of land like this, well, that took some seriously strong leadership. And they definitely had some incredibly bold leaders. Let me read you this quote from a famous general named Tariq ibn Ziyad. Picture this. It's the year 711 AD, and he takes an army of just 7,000 soldiers across the water from Africa to Spain. When they landed, facing a much, much larger enemy, he famously ordered his own ships to be burned. Literally burned to the ground. He told his men, "O my warriors, whither would you flee? Behind you is the sea, before you the enemy. You have left now only the hope of your courage and your constancy." With absolutely no way to retreat, his army fought hard and actually won. But you can't run a giant empire just on bravery alone. You need serious organization. So the Umayyads divided their massive territories into smaller provinces and put a governor in charge of each one. And to keep trade flowing, they minted their own money. Check out the Umayyad silver dirham on the left and the coins that were later minted far away in India on the right. This is proof that they had a highly organized, booming economy with real standard currency. Moving on to Part 2, expanding to the subcontinent, the arrival of the Arabs. So how exactly did this empire reach India? It was led by a general named Muhammad bin Qasim. And amazingly, he was only 17 years old when he commanded an army and conquered Sindh in 712 AD. Just 17. He defeated the local ruler, Raja Dahir. But here's the most crucial takeaway. Muhammad bin Qasim didn't just conquer, he actually set up rules for peace. He gave the local Hindu population the status of dhimmis, which basically translates to protected people. They were allowed total freedom of religion to worship in their own temples, and non-Muslims were even exempted from having to serve in the military. It was a super practical policy of tolerance. Part 3. The mighty Abbasid dynasty. A new capital is born. As we know, history is always changing. By 750 AD, the Umayyads had grown weak, and a new family from Persia called the Abbasids stepped up and took control, ruling for the next 500 years. The second Abbasid ruler, Caliph Abu Ja'far al-Mansur, decided he needed a brand new, totally secure capital city, and he built it step by step, almost like an unbreakable fortress. First, they picked a prime spot right on the banks of the Tigris River. Second, to stop enemies in their tracks, they dug a massive 20-meter-wide ditch completely around it. Third, they constructed a towering outer wall over 30 meters high. And finally, they added 4 massive gates and 360 towers just to keep watch. This incredible fortress was the famous round city of Baghdad. Because of its perfectly circular shape, it was super easy to defend. But under later rulers like Harun al-Rashid, Baghdad wasn't just a fortress anymore. It became this massive, buzzing center for global trade and banking. In fact, here's a fun little fact for you. The modern English word check,
like, a bank check, actually comes from the Arabic word sak, which was used by merchants right here in Baghdad.
All right, part 4, the Golden Age inventions, science, medicine, and optics. The amazing wealth and peace of the Abbasid Empire led directly to the Golden Age of Islam. This was a time when art, knowledge, and groundbreaking science just completely exploded. Now, to really understand this era, you have to know this word, polymath. A polymath is a person with expert, genius-level knowledge in several totally different subjects at the exact same time. The Muslim scholars of this era weren't just good at one single thing. No, they were masters of medicine, astronomy, math, and philosophy, all at once. They were basically the ultimate super students. Let's meet 3 superstar polymaths real quick. First up, Al-Razi. He was a medical genius who figured out that sick patients actually need to be separated so they don't infect others. So he essentially invented the modern hospital ward. Next is Ibn Sina. He wrote a massive medical encyclopedia called The Canon of Medicine that was so good it was used to teach doctors in Europe for hundreds of years. And finally, Ibn Haytham. He's famously known today as the father of modern optics. Okay, remember that hook question I asked you at the very beginning about your phone's camera? Well, it was Ibn Haytham's amazing book, the Kitab al-Manazir, or Book of Optics, that figured out exactly how light enters the human eye. His research literally led to the invention of the camera centuries later. And this perfectly illustrates why this era was so special. Discoveries like this were only possible because the caliphs built massive libraries and schools, like the famous House of Wisdom, where brilliant scholars from all over the world gathered to study and invent together. And that brings us to part 5, rise of new dynasties, the Seljuks, Fatimids, Ayyubids, and Mamluks. As you'll quickly learn in any history class, no empire lasts forever. Over time, the massive Abbasid Empire weakened, and its huge territories started dividing up. 4 major new groups stepped up to take control of different regions. First, the Seljuks. They came from Central Asia and built such beautiful mosques and palaces that their art was literally called poetry in stone. Then, the Fatimids. They conquered Egypt and built the famous Al-Azhar University in Cairo, which, by the way, is still a functioning university today. Then came the Ayyubid dynasty, founded by a legendary military leader. And finally, the Mamluks, who had the incredibly tough job of fighting off the most fearsome invaders in history. Take a close look at the man depicted on this dirham coin. This is Saladin, the founder of the Ayyubid dynasty. He is easily one of the most famous figures of the medieval world. And he wasn't just a brilliant military commander during the Crusades, he was deeply respected even by his enemies for his strict policy of religious tolerance, his deep sense of justice, and the many hospitals and schools he built across his lands. But guys, the biggest test for the Islamic civilization came from the east. In 1258 AD, a terrifying army of Mongols, led by Hulagu Khan, brutally attacked the mighty Abbasid territories. They stormed right into the beautiful, rich, round city of Baghdad. They completely destroyed it, bringing the glorious Abbasid rule to a very sudden and incredibly tragic end. So, here's the crucial question. With Baghdad gone, who actually stepped up to stop the Mongols? That was the Mamluk dynasty. Based mostly in Egypt and Syria, the Mamluks did what honestly seemed impossible. They stood remarkably strong against both the massive Mongol armies and the Crusaders. By doing so, they protected the holy cities and the very heart of the Islamic world. They continued to rule until the year 1517, when another famous empire, the Ottomans, eventually took over. Wow, and that brings us to the end of our timeline today. We've traveled from the Umayyads' massive expansion to the brilliant Abbasid super scholars, right up to the brave Mamluks. So I want to leave you with a question to really think about for your class. Which invention or idea from the Islamic Golden Age do you think is most important in your everyday life right now? Is it the layout of modern hospitals, the math you study, or maybe the science behind that camera in your pocket? Keep exploring, keep questioning everything, and I will see you in the next explainer.